So hello from a very rainy Cornwall, and today we're going to talk about China, as you do when you're in Cornwall. Now, last weekend I was lucky enough to be in Prague at the. I was speaking at the Students for Liberty conference, LibertyCon 22, and oh my goodness, what a beautiful, beautiful city is Prague. I'd never been before, but I shall be going back ASAFP. Anyway, while I was at the conference, I heard a talk by Li Skuland, who is a Chinese-American businesswoman and the Director of External Relations Asia-Pacific for the Acton Institute. And she fled China in 1984, having survived Chairman Mao's Cultural Revolution. And she made the case that China, not the US, is the paper tiger. Now, what did she mean by that, and what does it imply for investors and the Chinese economy? Now, the expression paper tiger is used to describe something that appears powerful or threatening, but is in fact weak and vulnerable. Appears powerful, it's in fact weak. And the term was made famous by the notorious chairman of the Chinese Communist Party and the People's Republic of China, Mao Zedong, in 1957. And before we do Mao Zedong, I'm just going to show you this view because it's a very famous golf course, St. Enodoc, made famous by John Betchman. And just over my shoulder there, you can see the spire of St. Enodoc. Can you see it? Where is it? There, over there somewhere. Famous little church. Look, there's the sea. Isn't it lovely? Right, but it's wet, unfortunately. So, what did Chairman Mao say? His famous words were, "All the reputedly powerful reactionaries are merely paper tigers, and the reason is that they are divorced from the people. Look, was not Hitler a paper tiger? Was Hitler not overthrown? I also said that the Tsar of Russia, the Emperor of China, and Japanese imperialism were all paper tigers. And as we know, they were all overthrown. US imperialism has not yet been overthrown, and it has the atom bomb. I believe it will also be overthrown. It too is a paper tiger." Now, there's rather a lot to unpick there, and as time is of the essence, we shall ignore that classic of the Godwin's law genre, which is whoever mentions Hitler first loses the argument. And we'll also ignore the hypocrisy of criticising authoritarian rulers for being divorced from the people when you are an authoritarian ruler. Anyway, Skuland's main argument is that today China's regime is divorced from the people, and so China too is a paper tiger. And as an authoritarian, corrupt and often incompetent planned economy, it is also vulnerable, and the events of the past couple of weeks would seem to bear her out. "Don't buy Chinese stocks," she said. "There are so many frauds. Many exist solely to secure funds and have no operating business behind them. And over 60% of China's market capitalisation is state-owned. If you buy stocks, you are supporting an authoritarian regime." And even something like TikTok, ByteDance is the parent company, it's Chinese, it's under the regime, she said. And I've been unable to verify this, but Skuland argued that never mind its use as a surveillance tool, if you read the print, the small print, then once uploaded, your videos effectively become the property of the Chinese state. And like TikTok, central bank digital currencies, CBDCs, a field in which China very much has the lead, they too are a useful surveillance tool, and those tools will now be used on all these athletes who downloaded the money apps during the Winter Olympics. And as well as to control, they'll be used to market stuff. The app's going to know, for example, if you need a loan, and as well as what type of loan and your circumstances. And so it'll begin marketing financial products to you. And property is no better as an asset class. Over 30% of the build cost of a property in China is government bribery. And I don't know how you verify that figure, but it doesn't sound that implausible. Meanwhile, despite all the pictures you might see of amazing buildings in China's cities, says Schooland, more than 43 million people still live on less than $1 a day, although that figure has come down from more than 100 million in the 2000s, probably higher than that. China is heavily indebted as well, which makes it vulnerable. Its debt to GDP ratio, Schooland argues, is much higher than the stated 70%. In fact, it's closer to 275%, she says. And Shanghai is unravelling with the extended lockdown there. Supply chains are breaking down. There's a lot of discontent. And Schooland insists revolution is very much in the air. China needs a new system, not just a new leader, she says. And I would say the evidence of the past few weeks hints that Schooland may have a point. Supply chains have been disrupted. Inflation is biting, especially in food and energy prices. Interest rates are being held down. The currency is at its weakest since 2020. International funds are selling out of Chinese assets. Attempts to lure domestic investment into capital markets aren't working. The stock market is down over 20% this year. And a slowing property market is also eroding wealth. Somebody's just hit a bad shot. And on top of everything else, the evidence of the last 2 years is that viruses are beyond government control and that lockdowns do more damage than good. Nevertheless, President Xi Jinping remains totally committed to zero COVID. And irony of irony, he blames COVID on the germ warfare of US imperialism. But you can't just ignore China as an investor. It's too big, and the way to play it for me seems to be in the business of selling its stuff. President Xi's committed again to boosting infrastructure construction to bolster the economy. Planned investment this year is over $2 trillion, according to Bloomberg. So load up on base metals and mining stocks is my advice. The People's Bank has declared it will promote the healthy and stable development of markets and provide a good monetary and financial environment, and that liquidity will remain reasonably ample. Oh God, we're back to that centrally planned economy thing again, oh dear. But that money has to go somewhere, and I think a lot of it's going to go into base metals. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe to my channel, check out my Substack. I'll put links on the page here somewhere that you can click on, and I'll be back with another video very soon. I've now emerged onto Dama Bay, famous beach. I'll give you a nice view of Dama Bay there, you can see it. And just over, where would it be? I find it hard to point, but I think, yes, just over there is the famous Doom Bar, a beer named after it, where all the ships sank. So there we go. Isn't it lovely? I will speak to you again very soon. Cheerio.